Hi there, Zam here for NerdTube. These are my thoughts and spoilers of episode 8 of Peacemaker, It's Cow or Never. So this is the final episode of season 1, and we had some crazy shenanigans in this episode, as well as a couple of cameos too, which I'm sure a lot of fanboys must have been really happy about. In this episode, our group of Argus misfits are trying to stop this cow from transporting to another part of the world, so to speak. And if it does do that, then they won't be able to find it. This cow also creates the sort of honey that the butterflies are able to consume, because without that they can't continue living. We find out more about the butterflies as well in this episode, regarding their purpose and how Judo Master, who was not infected by a butterfly, was willing to help the butterfly people because of really, in my opinion, not necessarily the most convincing reasons to help the butterflies. I understand that we live in a shitty world, and we live in a world with corporate greed and CEOs who just are willing to do what the fuck they want and are a law amongst themselves. But even so, you don't want your population to be invaded by fucking alien butterflies. And I'm very happy that in the latter parts of this episode, Peacemaker was never going to side with the villains, or the butterfly people, so to speak, because even though they might seem like they have good intentions, they are taking away people's lives, and this is our fucking planet, not theirs. And even if we're gonna fuck it up, we're gonna fuck it up. We don't want them to fucking come in and change it on our behalf when we're not even fucking alive to do so, because they're taking over our bodies. So yeah, I'm very happy that Peacemaker put a stop to that. But prior to all of that, we get the setup of them, the Argus misfits, invading this barn where loads of infected butterfly people are at, where the cow's at. And prior to them getting into the barn, we see some fuck ups by them. You know, there's an anti-gravity helmet, and when Adebayo says the word anti-gravity, the helmet starts floating up, and before Peacemaker is able to stop it by saying stop anti-gravity, it's so far away the helmet can't hear his voice, and it just floats away. So one of their tools is gone. They try to use Eagerly to plant the sonic boom helmet in the barn, but Eagerly just takes it somewhere else. And even though Eagerly's been kind of reliable for Peacemaker in this episode, he wasn't necessarily too reliable at that particular moment. And other members of the team have to come into play, because John Economos, he hasn't been seen by the butterfly people. Everyone else has, so he has to infiltrate the organization, so to speak, by pretending to be one of them, by being a bit stone-faced and stuff. Very Invasions of the Body Snatchers, like, if you've seen that film, you know what I mean. By pretending to be body snatch, you just have to act emotionless, and the butterfly people are kind of emotionless as well. We do see shit hit the fan, because Economos is just unable to do sort of, you know, field work. He is the guy in the chair. He's not the guy out of the chair, and he just starts giving the game away a little bit. And eventually, all the butterfly people are on his case, and we do at one point assume that he's gonna die, because this show does stuff like that. You know, it kills people off. You know, people you expect to be there in the long haul, maybe in season 2 or something like that, but no, they're dying. But not luckily for us, not John. He does survive. The sonic boom helmet eventually ends up in the barn, and it gets activated by Adebayo. Initially, she fucks up so poorly by her hand letting go of the fucking walkie-talkie to activate the fucking sonic boom, and then she has to find it amongst all the fucking leaves and stuff. It's actually kind of stupid when you think about it, but it was just there to create a bit of tension. The sonic boom activates, lots of butterfly people get killed and stuff, but they still have to go into the barn. The barn is getting damaged. You know, the sonic boom helmet was supposed to go into the barn, but because John Economos kind of fucked up his field work, it didn't go into the barn, so it's above the barn, but it's still doing enough damage to fuck up the transportation of the cow. So now the rest of the Argus guys go in there. There's a really funny scene where Adebayo wants to join, you know, the gun-totting Argus guys, you know, of Harcourt, Vigilante, and Peacemaker. But Harcourt tells Adebayo, we don't want you going in there, because, you know, if something happens, you're our last chance to save the world, so to speak, and get word out to everybody else. And then Economos says, well, what the fuck am I here for? You know, like we totally forgot about him because he's not going in there again because he's already done his job. But yeah, that was a really funny moment as well because they totally didn't give a shit about Economos when it comes to being the last hope to save the world. But nevertheless, we get some gun-totting scenes and we get the music of, you know, do you really want to taste it? Da, 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 that sort of shit. And as we see in the opening credits where they're dancing to that music, in a way they're kind of gun-totting to that music and killing loads of butterfly people and stuff. But eventually they all get, you know, Vigilante and Hardcore kind of get taken down, and Peacemaker has to like just leave them and continue the mission because he can't afford to stay behind and rescue them. And then Adebayor does some serious John Wick action. I fucking loved it. She just comes in, starts shooting the shit out of people in creative ways. Very John Wick-esque. I fucking loved it. It was a side of her we never really saw. She was finally killing people, even though these people were theoretically already dead and they'd been taken over by an alien species. Nevertheless, she was blowing the shit out of their brains and everything, and I really liked it. At one point, you thought Harcourt was going to be taken over by a butterfly, but Adebayor last second came to the rescue. And then she goes into the barn to help out Peacemaker, who is trapped under some rubble at this particular stage. And then when he comes out the rubble, you think it's Adebayor who's actually saved him, but it's not. It's Sophie Song who's taken over by the Goth butterfly, the one which Peacemaker was getting high in the jar. And because the Goth butterfly spent time with Peacemaker in the jar, she kind of understands who Peacemaker is, and then gives him the spiel about, you know, how fucked up your world is and all that sort of stuff. But, you know, we kind of knew Peacemaker was never going to go down that route. He's totally different to Judah Master in his ideology and everything. He was never going to fall for that shit. It's just too liberal for him, as far as he's concerned, anyway. And so he does the right thing, in my opinion, and he shoots the shit out of Sophie and the cop, the police captain cop, who's also been taken over, and he activates the torpedo sort of code activation thing in another one of his helmets, which is now being worn by Adebayor, and because of that, she ends up flying into the bloody cow and kills it. You know, like she goes right inside it, like she human torpedoes, kamikaze style, inside the fucking cow, killing the cow, killing their food source, and putting an end to the butterfly people. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a great way to sign things off, and yeah, what a great episode. We see everyone else in Argos, you know, get healed after this. You know, even John Economos, he actually damages his leg trying to climb over a fence, so he's out of commission. But somehow he manages to crawl into the field of battle very quickly, which is a bit weird, to help Adebayor out and also to take care of Harcourt, who's at this point almost dying. But as I said earlier, once all this is over, they're all like, you know, healing and recovering and thinking about themselves and all that sort of shit and seeing what's happening next. Oh, how can I forget the Justice League? The Justice League, they come in at the very end of once the battle is over, a bit like how the cops come in at the very end when the battle is over. By the way, there's no Batman amongst this Justice League. It's Superman, Aquaman, Flash, and Wonder Woman, but we just see their silhouettes, so we just assume that these are silhouettes, these are not the real actors. But we do see Jason Momoa and Ezra Miller as Flash and Aquaman, and there's a stupid comment made, or a funny comment made about Aquaman fucking fish and stuff like that, and Barry Allen goes along with it, and then Aquaman's really pissed off about it. But it was really good to see those cameos, but they were very fleeting. You could tell it was probably not even half a day's work for them to fucking do. But yeah, we move on from that, and it's really good. Like I said, it was really good to see the fucking Justice League. You know, DC, for fuck's sake, you've got such an amazing property here, and you're so slow at delivering us content when it comes to the DC EU, so to speak, and these amazing superheroes. So seeing them in any capacity, even as silhouettes and even as flashing cameos, pun intended, was fair enough. It was good enough. You know, I guess it's what we're gonna fucking get, regardless. But once everything was said and done, and we see everyone back in their own sort of lives and world, so to speak, Adebayor's now back with her partner, and they're making out. John is now back to his being a guy in the chair, and he's typing shit out. Hardcore's now recovering from her injuries and getting better again. vigilante. You know, he just wants to get out of hospital and just go back to what he's doing. And Peacemaker is just now contemplating about life, and he has one of the butterflies with him. I don't know if that's Goth or not. It could be, but he has one of the butterflies with him and feeds Goth some honey. And then we see the ghost of his dad, because earlier on in this episode, the ghost of his dad was there, and he was trying to deal with that by shooting a fucking poison dart arrow into his dad's ghost. But his dad's memory is still with him, and his dad once again sat down with him at the end of this episode. It was fucking crazy. I'm sure Robert Patrick is going to be coming back as a ghost, haunting Peacemaker, basically being the devil on his shoulder to send him down the wrong path as Peacemaker tries to go down the right path. So yeah, it's going to be it's interesting to see where we go with that in season 2. Not much was really set up regarding season 2. Sorry, I also want to mention the fact that Adebayo also kind of rectified everything by mentioning that, you know, these people like Peacemaker were actually criminals who were working undercover, trying to reduce the sentence of their incarceration by doing these jobs for the government. And so really all this stuff that was found out about him earlier on was bullshit, and she was just trying to give out the real information. And she also threw Amanda Waller, her mum, under the bus as well. And we see a scene from Viola Davis in this, a nice cameo from her as well. So there's a few cameos in this. But going back to how this season ends, I don't really know how this season's how season 2 is going to begin, because there was no breadcrumbs for season 2. There really, I mean, yes, we are going to get Peacemaker's dad as a ghost and haunting his dreams and shit like that. But what is the plot for season 2? Fuck knows. And I'm kind of happy about that. It's just a fresh, clean slate to a degree. But I'm hoping that we do get a season 2. Maybe James Gunn wrote this in a way that, in case this flopped, and I'm glad it didn't, because it's very critically acclaimed. The fans are liking it. The critics are loving it. So I'm hoping that we do get a season 2. And I'm hoping James Gunn, when he writes it, you know, just goes full on and does give us more of these crazy shenanigans and excellent writing and funny moments and gory scenes and stuff like that, and craziness, and not making us get too attached to characters, because as we've seen in this season, if you do get too attached, you're going to get very upset because certain favourites are going to die. But nevertheless, come on season 2, I can't wait. You know, get this show on the fucking road. Start filming this shit already. We want it. This was an excellent show. This is how I like my superhero shows. As an adult, I want to see adult content when it comes to superheroes, and this definitely is. This is not Disney Plus bollocks. And don't get me wrong, I do like some of the bollocks that we do get on Disney Plus, but this is definitely not made for kids, and this is the sort of shit I like the fucking most. Gory, entertaining, funny, crass, you know, horrible at times, gory. I mean, I said gory already, but you know what I mean. Anyway, let me know what you think regarding Peacemaker episode 8 and Peacemaker as a series as well. Fantastic show, fucking loved it. You know, never overstayed its welcome. 8 episodes is plenty when it comes to shows, in my opinion, and I can't wait for next season. Bring it on. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to NerdTube, the greatest YouTube channel you never heard of. Take care. Bye bye.